call the meeting to order. Let's stand up for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Public comment?
I just have a request. I wasn't here pretty much for the month of October because I had family visiting from Hong Kong. And that was my number one focus. But I don't know if there's any email communication going out announcing when we're going to have a meeting in advance or whether it just gets posted.
It just gets posted.
Okay, so I just need to look day of or day before to determine whether we have a meeting or not.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Any more public comment? All right, seeing none, we'll move on to the first one, the business, and that's you're on.
Yeah, so Kathy reached out to me and hello there.
Sure.
Mentioned that I gave Dan my copy of the AirCode report, but mentioned that, I guess, let me back up a second, there's a council meeting on Monday. If you would like, my general feeling was that this committee agreed that that's the next step they'd like to take, is to contract with the structural analysis. If you read the report, you'll see that it takes about 8 weeks from the time of commencement for that to come through, so that's 2 months, so that means that there wouldn't be, I guess I need to know what you would like to do. Would you like to ask the town council for money to do it now? Would you like to wait and put it in a warrant article? What is it you would like on Monday, and would you like me to do the ask, or would somebody from the committee like to do the ask? That's where I'm at with that, so.
To me?
My view is that we should ask for the money to start it now. This thing has been procrastinating over this.
And to clarify, we're talking about the
The
$19,000.
18,000 to do
not
it. Yeah, no.
No, we're not talking about that.
Absolutely, we should just ask for it at the council meeting.
Yeah, I mean, they kind of
Okay.
indicated to us that they were ready for us to ask that anyway.
Right.
Last time.
Okay.
Just, yeah.
Larry?
I've only glanced at the report, but conceptually it makes sense to me if there's funding available without going to the public with a warrant article in March. And I think moving forward on this front is a good first step, and we should probably ask for the money.
John?
If we've been waiting so long to get a straight-out, decent report, this appears to be the way to go, and if the town is willing to step up with 18,000, I say, do we do it?
Frank?
Absolutely.
Okay, so we have a consensus that we want it
Delightful.
presented in front of the town council.
On Monday, perfect.
From the chairman to all of you, I was very concerned when I saw this past Monday's agenda, and Dave Wally was in asking for $10,000 for heating because there was a crack. And I was told that the building can't handle going one more year winterized, which I totally disagree with. So, but let me finish. I think we can go one more year. Now, what I'm concerned of is we're probably looking at a January, early February report back from them,
Probably later.
or maybe later.
Yeah, because we have to go under contract, we have to go through the process of releasing the money. By the time we go under contract with them at this point, it'll probably be mid-December, so my guess is it'll start after the first of the year, so we're probably looking at a March, April.
Okay, so then my suggestion is I'd like to see if we could get a warrant article for $150,000. Or undesignated fund balance to start a trust.
I like that idea.
To do, for what
For
purpose?
repairs,
forward.
if we get what we like and we move forward, we have $150,000 to start working with.
Oh, okay, so, but potentially, because you started with the crack and everything, you're talking about potentially just for Band-Aid kind of repairs.
No, I'm talking
Jumping
about
into it.
starting.
Yeah.
So Kathy, they had questions for me about the meeting last night before you got here. Would it be okay if I explained to them
Yes.
how that went? Awesome. So, yeah, so basically the heat exchanger. One of the heat exchangers is cracked at the or more than one, I think 2 of the heat exchangers are cracked. And this decision was one that Dave runs up the flagpole to get input on. It's not a decision whether to fix it or not, it's not a decision that he makes on his own. He actually was very much of the impression that it could last another year, and ultimately that's what the council supported.
I think it can last a couple years. I
Yeah.
mean, it's an old house.
Yeah.
They didn't have heat in the 1700s, and it's built pretty well. So,
So, yeah, so
a little
he's-
cold
yeah.
and heat is going to hurt it.
But because this was found in the heat exchanger, he wanted to bring it to the council to make sure everybody's on the same page and just to clarify what they would like him to do. And they ultimately did agree with him last night and decide that it wasn't a good time to spend the money, to wait and see what you all have to say and what, if we get an analysis, what that has to say. So ultimately, everybody was in consensus, everybody agreed on the solution, but because in good conscience, there was something that had broken that was going to impair what they, impede what he had done in previous years, he did want to make sure that everybody in the town leadership was open and on board with it, and so that's what the decision ended up being last night.
I mean,
So-
I'm not trying to,
Okay.
because I don't know where he's coming from, but if the heat exchanges are cracked and the building's winterized, what's the concern? Because we're not gonna need them anyways.
So he has, in the past 2 years, he has run the heat and to some degree and at a very,
Yeah.
very low level.
Okay.
And,
Yeah.
so
You
that
can-
is winterized,
that-
all the lines are blown out, they've been blown out for a while, but for the
Okay.
past 2 years, we have heated it at an extraordinarily low level. And so with the heat exchangers this way, they're not able to do that.
Okay, so
The
that
few times that
information
we've been in
wasn't
there, the heat's
relayed
been on.
at
Yeah.
the town council meeting.
He did say that at the town
Yeah.
council
I
meeting.
think the
He said-
risk
He did, he
would-
said that he had been heating it the past 2 years.
Okay.
I think the risk without the heat would be whether you get something, moist air or something creeps in there and
Well,
you're gonna grow mildew or something on the wall surfaces.
no, that's not gonna happen. The farmhouse has been without heat for 4 years and without air conditioning for 4 years because it's Steve's love. And that old house is doing just fine. And it's got a stone basement, just like the Lions Hall, so I think 1 year isn't gonna hurt anything. And you know what, if we come to that point, I mean, I think the gutters are a bigger
Yeah.
concern than the heat.
Yes, I would agree there.
So, yep, John?
Can I just back up 1 second? My hearing is, comes in and out. Warrant article, why and what?
I am gonna I think we should ask for $150,000 warrant article. Because we are obviously not going to be able to get it on this year's warrant.
The main project. the big
Correct.
project, Right.
And I would like to start the trust fund. And it would be nice to know on March date, Sherry? 11th, that we have $150,000 to start
Moving.
this movie. And if we get 150,000, fundraising,
Right.
interest, everything falls in.
So,
This is gonna be a long process.
It
This isn't
is.
gonna be an overnight success. But to sit here and not try really bothers me.
so I'm tracking with you. Here's my thought process. Because I was looking back at our minutes from 2 meetings ago, which was the last time I was here, and we talked about phases, not just of construction, but phases of funding and spacing it out over time. My thought process as just a citizen is that if the subject of renovating, restoring the hall is brought to the community, most people are gonna wanna know what's the final number. You
I
know,
agree.
Right? And unfortunately, for this year's warrant, we're not gonna know that number by then.
Correct.
And so, my fear is that if we don't know that number, and for round numbers, let's just say it's $1 million. I think it's gonna be more, but, whatever. And we come to the town and ask for $150,000, the worst scenario would be that they say no, right? Like, that would be a gut punch, right?
Then we don't.
And, but I think there still could be an element of, if we can't tell them, we're asking for $150,000 now for a project that is going to cost X, then at least they're coming into it eyes wide open, right? And saying, I understand where you're going, and I understand that you're not ready to come to us, you know, for the full amount yet, but that you will be doing that on next year's warrant.
Okay, so then we just hold off and do nothing? Is that your
No, but
suggestion?
unless-
It's my fear that we may need to do that, so that, because it can feel like a bait and switch. If you,
But that-
if you
but
throw
if-
out,
if-
if I could just finish. If you throw out and say, hey, we're asking for $150,000, no matter how
We're
well
not doing
you.
a bait and switch,
I know, I'm just saying how it can be perceived, okay?
but if we're honest.
Kathy, will you please let me finish my thought?
Okay, I'm sorry, but.
Thank you. If we throw out $150,000, no matter how well we articulate it, some people will think, oh, great, that means that building's gonna be open relatively soon, and it's not gonna cost $3.5 million, or whatever they heard about before, right, from Weston Sampson. And then when we come back and say, we need $1 million, they went, no. I think that's a real concern. To be upfront with people from the very beginning, to say, this is a project, we
But
do
to properly
feel.
explain what the 150 is for.
Right, to start the renovations.
Sure, but
And
without knowing what the final number is.
But there's no way we can do that final number, and I would
Not in
say
time for
that we
March,
can't
no.
even take a wild guess at it. We don't know whether it'll be $1 million or $5 million.
I hear you, I think we could take a wild guess based on some of the information
I'm,
we have.
I'm
but,
very
you know,
uncomfortable with a
You
wild
think-
guess.
What's your date?
So it would depend on when they can start and what their timeline is. I haven't talked to Tracy since this. I wanted to talk to you guys first. If you guys wanted to go on Monday, my goal was to try and set up a call with one of the members of the firm on Monday before the meeting, so I can ask any questions that you might have. It does say in here 8 weeks from when it all goes under contract.
So do you think it'll be December?
I think it'll be, because the next meeting, then we have Thanksgiving, I think it'll go under contract in December, and then they'll have to get out and do the work, so my
When's the
guess is
deliberative?
Oh, we just went over
February
that this
8th.
morning, yeah.
Deadline for warrant
Can
articles
we
is the end
have
of
her
January.
report?
January
Can we
ninth.
ask her and
It's
tell her the
early, yeah.
urgency of this for the deliberative, for the numbers on the 8th? Because we can we can add that into our presentation at the deliberative, which gives the voters the chance to say, yay, nay, add more money, all the transparency's there.
Good
Yeah.
point. Mhm.
I would ask her
I can certainly
to
ask
nail
her.
that.
That is a potential solution to what I'm presenting.
Yeah,
Exactly.
just so I can weigh in on this, I'm concerned about the risk of asking for $150,000 without any idea what the end game is gonna be. And mostly, I don't question the integrity of this group and what we're trying to accomplish, but I worry about public perception and backlash that might hurt us in the long run by
Well-
putting a number out there. So if we have more substantial information to work with and time to get a warrant article put together with more data behind it, I would feel more comfortable about that. I'm just
And
concerned
that's
about.
not gonna happen, so we probably should take the 150 completely off the table at this point, from
Well-
what the two of you are saying. Because we're obviously not going to get the information by then. So that means that Dave's gonna have to go in front of the council and get the 10 grand. So we're 10 grand more into making ourselves look bad with a voodoo doll
Well-
of saying we need heating until we can get it on a warrant article to find out if people even want it. And we're pushing this off until July of 2026.
No, I understand. I mean, the
Which
timing
is
of
what
this
we're
whole.
really doing anyway.
May I make a
No,
start
because we
work.
have money in July of 225 to start with, at least structural repair.
May I make
Yeah.
a suggestion on if you're going to go for a warrant article? This 19,000 isn't going to get you your full structural designs. Alright,
Well,
this
I
is a
think they
structural
said that.
analysis, it's an analysis,
Yeah,
it's
but
not the
they
plans.
said stamp plans.
I don't think this is $19,000 doesn't get you,
No,
Like a
no, I
full-
think it's in stamp plans.
alright, I will double check that, I don't have it in
Yeah.
front of me anymore, but,
There was a stamp plan statement in there.
I'm fairly,
Did you look in the in the, one from Salem?
This is the Arco one, and it's.
No, I'm talking Salem. That's who she hired out for
Oh.
12. And I'm sorry to disagree,
No,
but I
that's
got,
fine, it's,
I got stamp plans on all the engineering, construction for my barn for $4,000.
Okay.
So
So
I-
it's not in this document?
No, it's in the one from Salem. I believe it said in their stamp plans. Does anybody have it? The whole thing? David, can I see that?
it's in here, no, it's in here,
Yeah.
may I see this?
What were you after?
The, stuff from the architectural.
Structures,
firm,
you're talking about
the
structures
structure,
north, not,
yeah.
yeah.
which is included in that. They were part of the Arcove proposal.
Oh,
So
the-
part A,
Oh, this was.
No,
a-
no. Can I have
So-
that whole thing, please, David? The
Yeah.
Arco, no, that one,
so,
the 4-page.
That's
Cat,
what I've got.
so,
Yeah.
part A, the scope of the included engineering services for part A, which is 12,000, which is what the 12,000 gets us, is field inspection of the existing structure, including exterior, interior, attic, and crawl space. Creation of inventory of noted damage throughout the structure, structural analysis of roof purlins and trusses, structural analysis of first floor, submission of written report with findings and recommendations, along with proposal to design repairs. That is the fee for part A, is
Okay, so-
12,000, which gets us that.
Okay, so we're only getting part A with 12,000?
Yes. And that is very similar to the Weston and Sampson breakdown that I had given you for comparison earlier, where it showed $16,000 for the initial structural analysis, and then there was, for the larger plan, was
Okay, so what does
more.
part B add to it?
It says to be submitted, fee for part B to be submitted after the required scope or repairs has been determined.
So we don't know what the cost of part
We
B.
don't know what the part B is, so what part A is getting us is the structural analysis and historic assessment that we can then submit the report for the New Hampshire Preservation Alliance Assessment Grant Program, where we can get up to $4,500 back. So this 19,000 does not get us
The design, the stamp drawings.
no,
the
that is the next
assistant
thing, and I can
bidding.
clarify that on Monday, but that's how my reading of this.
Okay, that's fine, but I really wanna know what, so they can't give us part B till we get part A.
Yes.
Sounds high to me, but I don't know the business as well.
I mean, and this is, this is a,
I would then say, I think we should go through with this, but, once we get part A, I think we need to go out to bid for part B.
and the question is whether we can, I do want to stipulate that we're going to have to go to the council and make the case for,
Because I thought that was all included in the 12. So that's my mistake.
And then what's the other $7,000 or so dollars?
that is for, if you look at the itemized costs early
Building
on, that is for
review,
building review
analysis,
analysis and
assessment.
assessment report. That is the assessment report that you submit to do the full analysis for,
So we're
the-
getting 4,500, possibly
we can
$4,500
get possibly $4,500
per
back
67.
from the New Hampshire Preservation Assessment Grant Program, and there's also LCHIP funds available for projects that exceed 10,000.
Okay.
So we would be eligible, this is a grant of up to 4,500 that we have to do 100% match for. So this cost of this project is over that, so that's fine. So for this 4,500, we would have to put in another 4,500. This project, like I said, well over that. There may be additional funds available for LCHIP for this point or for a future point.
So,
David? Good?
but what we're going to the council with is 12, not the,
No, we're going to
gonna
council for the
with
18,900.
yeah, okay.
And then we're gonna have to probably go back and beg for more because of the structural, but that's pretty, we have to have the plans
So
and all that
that, yeah.
stuff in order to get a contractor. I guess my concern at this point is I would like to start the trust fund.
I agree. I think
I would like to, see if the council's willing to put some money aside. I don't know what the dollar figure is, but I hate to say this, but the town's gonna get their wish, and the citizens are gonna get their wish, that the building's gonna go away if we don't start
Yeah,
moving.
So I do wanna say that the town does not, there's nobody at the town who is advocating for this building to go away. I wanna be crystal clear on that. I am not, Dave is not, nobody involved in this project wants this building to go away. Say that into the microphone on record. Kelly doesn't, nobody wants it to go away. My suggestion, by pointing out the fact that Part B was not included, was to suggest to both of your statements that there is a next logical step, which is having a trust fund set up to go towards funding this next step of design and having matching funds available for future grants. And so if you're looking for something that is concrete, that is doable without necessarily having the full scope of the project ahead of you, that would be something that you could outline very specifically that the purpose of the funding is for, because again, I can always pull back up the Weston and Sampson. It shows like this step and then the next step. And again, I'm not a project manager. I'm basing this in terms of construction. I manage other projects. But Dave pointed out to me those steps, and so that's that part. We're in that Part A bit. That's next is the Part B bit. You could always use that as a very real justification for needing to have funds available for the next step, because until you have that, you're probably not going to know the full scope, because you can't go out to bid and again, Structures North says they'll help review contractor submittals and everything as part of that Part B.
That makes a lot of
That would
sense
be
to
my
me.
suggestion
How
on
do
how
we
to.
set
But
up
it
a
begs the
trust
question.
That is a Justin question. I cannot answer that for you.
We could do that without going to warrant?
No.
That's what, yeah.
So it
I
begs
like
the question
idea
for me
a
of,
trust fund.
and I know that she can't answer, none of us can answer this question right now, but what's the range that Part B could cost, right? Is it 100 to 500? Like, is
No,
that,
it's
you
not
know,
gonna be
but whatever.
$100,000.
And I can
Because
certainly
they
ask
won't
that
be in
question.
business if it was $100,000.
And these are questions I certainly can ask on
Because whatever
Monday when I
that,
talk. If I can
whatever
get
like
them
the
done
top
Monday.
end of that potential range is, then that's where, yes, I think,
Well, I don't necessarily even think we have to be dependent on them for Part B. If she comes in with the assessment, and that can go out to TF Marin, that can go out to the Builders Association, that part can all get bidded, because it's pretty straightforward at that point. It's been determined, this is what we need, and all of that stuff could get bidded out.
but we're gonna have to pay someone for it.
Right,
Yeah, so
so
we had an
if they
idea of
wanna
what
come
that
in at
would be.
100,000, God bless them. Cause somebody else might come in at 10 or 20, you know what I'm saying? So
yeah, I
that
would-
gives us a lot of bargaining power at that point.
and
Cause
I'd be
we
loath
have
to-
the assessment.
I apologize. I would say I'd be loath to put any sort of a number on it until we get further along in the process, or speak directly to Tracy or the folks at Structures. And I think if we speak to them, we can have a much clearer idea of what that number would be
Right.
going. And that's why I was hoping to, like I said, if you do want this on Monday's agenda, I can take this, I can try and get a call with them on Monday, so I can ask all these questions. And this is why, these are the information I wanted to gather so I could get a response.
Is
Larry,
one-
I'm sorry, Frank, Larry had his hand up. You're
Okay.
next.
Thank you. Can you explain how this trust fund?
That's what I need to understand, because we're talking about
does
fundraising
it
too,
need-
so can we keep adding into the trust?
Yeah.
Or- Yeah,
I
but
know
does
it
it
might
all,
be a
but
Justin
the other question I have is,
Right.
how do you, procedurally, how do you set it up? And do you have to go to the voters with a warrant
Yes.
article?
Yes,
to do
you
this? Okay.
absolutely have to go to the voters
Okay.
with a warrant article, and it would work the same way as the fire department trucks.
Oh, it would count.
Yes, it would be probably along that line, that, the way they do fire, police, they have all these expendable maintenance trust funds.
Yes.
And we vote on those every year, and they put $100 in, or the road
Building
repair
maintenance.
and all that other stuff. So we would be set up as the same exact thing. And I have to kind of absolutely agree, because Trailways did the same thing.
Interesting, okay.
And how many
that's
times
good.
did they come back?
Many.
Because they needed matching funds for grants.
Right.
And they were
And-
very clear on phase.
Right.
They're like, this is phase
And
one.
we are gonna be very
Yes,
phased,
you're right,
clear
that's
on
a good
phase.
model for us to try to emulate.
So,
I like that.
And so, the amount of money that goes into that warrant article can be,
It can only be expended by the council.
no, but it can be $1 to $150,000, so.
It could be $1 to 5,000 million if we wanted it to, you know, it's whatever, it's whatever we ask.
So-
You know, I mean, that's, I mean, it has to be at least $1.
Right, so from a process standpoint, that makes total sense to me.
Yeah,
I had
that.
sticker shock at the number you put out there, and I don't argue with it. I mean, this project is gonna cost way more than that, you know, by the time we're done.
It's a start.
But I'm just concerned about creating, any kind of backlash, or stimulating any kind of backlash from the voters, because we're trying to ask for money without a clear line of sight on what it's actually gonna cost and and on an incremental basis. So if we can establish the trust, and start to fund it with the idea that we're looking for grants to offset the cost, we're looking for fundraising from sponsors and
Right, we have
to help
That's,
offset the.
I would have thought
Yeah.
would have been the whole plan all along, cause we've
Right.
discussed
Well,
that in many
I know,
meetings.
but you didn't articulate it.
Well,
that
but
way,
also
did you?
to Kristen's point, that I think that if there's a tangible, if we can say yes, that, and the tangible need we have right now is this Part B.
Right.
From whomever is gonna do it, there's gonna be a nut for that. And we don't have to know what that number is, you know, when we actually put the warrant article together, but we could know it by the deliberative session.
I mean,
Um,
my reason for 150,000 is, I think it starts the process. There is a thing called the undesignated fund balance. If the council's not willing to put money in, then we know where we stand. I know we're gonna be up against a very, challenging year, because they are adding $3 million because of the fire and the police and all the other situations going on in the town, so it is going to be a challenge. I remember a long time ago, 75 cents was only a $75 warrant article, so even if they only put 75 and we asked for 75 from the taxpayer, remember that was 3 cents.
That's what I was wondering, like, how much are we
Oh,
talking?
and your.
Well, it's
So
on your
currently,
Per 1,000.
Right, so it might be up to 5 now, I don't know.
so last year, approximately $60,000 was a cent on the tax rate.
Correct.
So this warrant article would be about 2.5 cents on the tax rate, which
At 150.
Mhm.
At 150.
150,000 would be approximately 2.5 cents on the tax rate, which is a relatively, you know, and again, to each their own, you can't really judge whether somebody thinks that's large or small, but it's a,
I mean, we've been a pretty good community. When 20,000 was asked for electrical rate at the Grange, that was approved. Trailways has always been successful. People are pretty, willing to put their money into saving the community and bettering the community, and this is a save and a better. And I think the presentation would be just like you said, and I think it would be up to the council to give us direction if they wanna put 75 here and 75 there. But I think it's important that we get this thing started.
I do too, yeah,
so who would you like to present, who is going to present on Monday?
and it's gonna be vital. That because just based on what we saw on Monday night, you know, the Christmas lights were discussed, there's a lot of.
I mean, we're
money-
putting,
yeah.
we put 20,000, 12,000 to the Christmas lights.
Right, and but it, after that and just the commotion that it caused, Kathy, why don't you present?
Yeah, I was just
I
gonna say.
really, you know what, I mean, you can take one of us along as your sidekick, you know, but I really think you're the one that should, and plus you've been a council member, so mentally you're more prepared than any of us for it. I mean, if you could go along too, like
Well,
maybe the
no, I
two of
take
you.
you.
I'll be there anyway, sitting off to the side, so I'm perfectly happy to answer any questions, but it should definitely be a member of the
Yeah.
committee if possible, or more than that,
You-
so.
You're the leader of the pack.
Yeah, leader
I'm out of
of
town,
the
so
pack.
I'll do it. I mean, I was getting Derek because I wanted to get him involved, but,
I can certainly be there to answer
Right, you'll.
logistical
does it.
support and
I guess my
administrative
concern too in this presentation is, when we did do the walkthrough, we only allowed Derek to go in, and since then, he has not been here, and I'm not trying to give him a hard time, but he was in there and he heard what Tracy found.
So, I
And
understand.
I really would like to say,
Mhm.
our tin ceiling
Mhm.
is grantable. You know, that's like unbelievably preserved
Mhm.
and important.
Mhm.
And we can get a grant to preserve that. And that's why I'm asking you, because I'm hoping David has given you information about what happened in there to say, this building has a lot of grant potential.
Dave
And
will also be there on Monday. It's a budget workshop, so department heads will be there as well.
so 88, all of the things you found out. We might not get money for the preservation, but we'll get money for the heat, for
Right.
the bathrooms, for all the things to be compliant, and I think that needs to come out. But we need the material to match it, and we need to show we have skin in the game. I guess that's,
Absolutely, we do, right.
so that information is vital that we don't have. I don't know what Tracy said in that building.
She did not say a ton in the building. It was more looking than, and so Dave was also there as well, full time. And it was much more looking rather than, she asked some questions, but it wasn't like, she didn't walk through and describe the building. She loved the ceiling, like, she came out and said that to everybody outside after,
Right.
that she thought the ceiling was great, but there was not a lot of disclosure of things inside. So the whole point of that was just to get an idea of the scope, so she wasn't really going into detail. That is my understanding of how that interior visit went from
And that's,
my
and I
conversations with
think,
Dave.
but I think that's important that we express that on Monday night, because then it shows that the building is an important,
Mhm.
an important historical structure that
Mhm.
needs to be preserved.
And that is why I think Sherry suggested that you should be the one to do
Yes.
it.
You really should,
But I
you really should be, and you need that passion too, Kathy, because the council, you know, it's just, they're at a different place, and money is, but, you know, as it should be, is a concern, and so they need to hear and to feel our passion for
The only
this.
concern that I have right now, any year earlier, I would've said 150 is no problem. But with all the upheaval going on down here at Town Hall, that's gonna be a tough one.
And
We'll say there-
potential warrant articles to come.
There's also
yes.
likely a match for, there's gonna be a match for the final phase of the rail trail grant on there as well.
I knew that was coming. I
Yeah.
saw Sandy and Dave, Mike's office before, so I knew they were coming.
There is
And
the
they've
final
cut- And
phase.
they've done over $1 million they've asked the taxpayers for. So,
And this is their
I
last,
figure we were up in competition against them.
And
This
they-
is their
I saw
last
her- That's
last
what they said the first
ask, I know.
time.
Phase 7, this connects it to Derry though, it connects it
I
to
know,
Derry and
but
it's
that's
done,
what
it's
they
all,
said.
there's no more rail to trail.
I know, but that's what they've been saying for 10 years is, oh, this is the last time we're coming to the taxpayers. The first one was $250, the second one was, I don't know, $250. I mean, we just keep giving them money. So,
But we do, so they probably will get it again.
Yeah.
yes,
So-
because,
Right, to
but
their
my
credit.
point, but to the, right, but they
Yeah.
started a lot sooner than we did.
But I think we
Sure.
need to stress.
And in a different atmosphere than we did, so.
Right, exactly, but I do think we need to stress the community aspect of it, like bringing the community together and a meeting place and all those things, because what the rail trail has, that they've become so well known for is that seniors, youth, it's a meeting place for everyone, it's something, a recreation for everyone, and I think that's why people also join in so easily, so we have to show that this is more than a building, you know, that it's going to
Well-
be used to bring the community together.
What are we
and then-
down now? 2 more gone, with Richard Flyers going down and the one
I
on
know the
Hardy Road, Hardy going down, so we're probably down only 10 barns left in the most agricultural
Yeah.
part of the state. The barns are disappearing, the history is disappearing, and
I love that other barn too.
Well, we still have the eyesore, the other side of Mammoth and Litchfield too.
The history around this meeting house actually is a
Or they
lot.
have
So
it.
Kathy, I have a hard out right about
Okay.
now, I have
so go, we're fine.
I need signatures from you.
Oh,
Can I
yes.
just get, can you just get, they're
Yeah.
$9.11.99, not a big deal.
Oh my
Now,
God.
Kathy, you should take someone else up there with you, though. Are you available on Monday night?
No, I'm taking Kristen.
No, but she's gonna be there already. Can you
Yeah, but that's
speak?
okay.
Can
I
you
can
speak?
be
I can certainly,
You
I can
be up
certainly
there with
speak.
her? Okay, good.
I'll stay where I am, but I will, yeah, or I can go up either way.
Okay, all
When
right.
is that? Is it February 8th is the deliberative?
Yes.
Okay, I
Yeah,
just wanna
it
put that on my
seems, yeah.
calendar.
And I think, I don't wanna be in competition with the rail trail,
I don't think it yet.
but
Two
I
separate,
think
right.
our project is just as important. And they did well, and I think, you know, as long as we give the first presentation appropriately, we'll get everybody on board at that point. And I'm just gonna go in and lay out the facts and say, you tell me if you'll give us one, I would hope all the other projects out there that they've pulled out of undesignated fund balance,
Right.
that we would get some assistance in that area.
So it doesn't all have to go to the voters, you're saying?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it would be only a 2 cent, or a 3, well, 2 cent would be for the whole thing. 0.1 cent would be for 75.
And do bring, yeah, that's such an important part of it.
Does anybody have any?
And then the other part is, if all of us can be there, you're traveling, so that's, but I think the more unity that we show by, us all,
I was just gonna ask that.
Yeah.
Do you want other people there, or you just wanna just do it, you and Kristen?
Well, I think
I think
you
as many
guys
as
can
can
be
be,
there,
yeah.
because if you wanna add something,
Just to be in.
I
the
don't
room,
know,
I think.
right, I think it's being in the room, I
Yeah.
do.
just clarify me and then go. It would just be a presentation, so they would not be able to speak, so you would have to come down in public comment to talk to your support.
My
their
suggestion
request.
is that if the council decides to move forward with it, because again, the council has to decide, first of all, if they're gonna pay for this, and second of all, if they wanna move forward with a warrant article,
Right, I'm not asking
Yeah.
for the warrant article.
just
um,
this one.
Right,
Just
just
this,
this alone.
Because I got plenty of time to ask for the warrant
Yeah,
article.
okay, so then this one you'd have to come up and, usually,
And we might have a better plan to go for the warrant article to show fundraising and everything.
once we.
So tonight, Monday is just for the 18,
Sure.
with a hint towards the trust.
Absolutely.
And then probably December, another
Exactly.
request for a warrant article. What, I think that's the time frame, right?
You do have time frame to do that, yes.
You're actually speaking for all of us at the council. That's what we're all
Yeah.
about.
Hmm.
I mean, we're not gonna stand up, 6, 7 of us standing
Right,
up and
but
say,
it-
yeah, I agree.
What's the,
Well,
what's
yeah,
the,
I agree, but we're in the meeting.
what's
You
the
know.
drop dead date for them to have the budget?
The preliminary warrant approval for town council warrants is December 16th, the due date for so if they decide not to move forward and they
And we could still do a
citizens petition, that's, I believe that's January 9th off the top of my head, I could be slightly
Okay.
wrong, but it's that week,
So,
right? So,
if we get the 18th, we get the approval, we get to move ahead. I would say
you
early
have the second and
December.
the 16th are the
Right,
next two
the
meetings.
2nd of December, we go in and ask for them to
Right.
set up a trust fund, and we're asking you to
Yeah.
take this and this, and here's what we're doing, and
Right.
showing, and possible grants, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know.
I'm gonna run, I have a
Right,
7-year-old
Kirsten.
waiting for me,
Oh,
so, you know.
amen.
Thanks, Kristen.
All right, thank you
Hey,
guys.
Thank you,
Kristen.
Kirsten, we started the day together,
And
ended the
ended
day
in
together.
morning meetings and
Election
evening
meeting.
meetings.
Just one thing that, when you're up there too, that in a way we're asking for this, but in another way, I don't feel that we necessarily have to ask for it, because they brought this task to us, and they commissioned us to do this and to tell them what we need. So I think that they really should, because otherwise they've wasted our time, honestly, because we've been doing this, and we went into this with we're gonna give them the best number, the best bang for the buck, and this is what we came up with. So this really should be a yes, because we were commissioned to do this. So I think that we're asking, but also I think there's a little bit of telling, like what's happened here, and this is what we need to go forward on the charge you gave us.
I agree.
Yeah.
That's good, that's a
And
good
it's
point.
also a very good point that you just made me remember, that in the future, in the past, which I have no problem saying, was that when the original Reverend Meaning Morrison house was taken down on Gilcrest, the citizens of this community passed, I think it was 75, I can get the numbers out of the old book, And what was ever left over, the Historical Society gave back to the community. So if the community is not supportive of this and we find out in 2 years from now we can't go anywhere, then unfortunately the building will be demolished, but
Right.
the money will
Yeah.
go back to the taxpayer.
Yeah.
Oh, if it never gets spent, you mean?
Right.
Right. Yeah, and I think I would just take that approach, that it's not necessarily an ask, this is the charge that we were given, this is what we need to move forward with what you asked us to do.
It's the next step in the process.
Right, so thank you, let's take a vote, I mean, I think we have to
I
be,
also think
yeah.
if
I
we've
like
got
that.
150 from the town or whatever,
Right,
we decide to ask for, it gives us support in the sense of going out and asking a business that the town is committed for
exactly,
fundraising.
exactly, and there's a lot of businesses, I think, that'll
Yeah.
jump on, and the fundraising that we keep wanting to jump into, but they've gotta, and they need to do their part, you know, but,
I
yeah.
also remember from sort of probably about a month or so ago when there was a certain John Farrell sat there and said the way to approach this is a little at a time. And
Right.
I think he said,
Phases.
offered figures like 150 to 250.
Yes, yeah, absolutely,
Who knows where we're gonna be a year from now,
right.
but we gotta get started.
Yes.
We gotta get.
If you
the
do
ball rolling.
nothing, then nothing is
Yeah.
going to happen for 2025. And
Yeah,
then we're going to be
exactly.
sitting here this time in
Yeah.
12 months' time saying, do we ask for a
Right.
250,000 to
Yeah.
get started?
Yeah, yeah, we've done what they've asked us to do,
Yeah.
now it's their turn.
Without that, you're just going to end up with this $18,000
Yeah,
assessment of what's
Another one.
broken.
Yeah.
We pretty much know what's broken.
Broken.
What we need is a suggested plan. This is what you should do to bring this back.
right,
Yeah, I mean, if they say no on Monday,
Then we
Then-
know, it's
then-
over.
well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Then
I know.
they're gonna disband this committee.
They'll disband the committee and pull down the building.
Absolutely.
That's the only option.
But they pretty much already told us
they
to
did,
come back to us
right.
with a number,
Yeah.
a figure
Yeah.
that's very much like
yes.
this.
Yeah.
'Cause-
Like, they're already expecting that.
Exactly, that's
And-
what I
and
think we have to
think
remember.
They will probably change the charge of this committee once they receive the report
Right. Yeah.
to probably just being a way to raise funds, and because I don't think they're gonna want a committee of us to tell the contractors and the structural engineers and
No,
everything.
they shouldn't be.
So that will
Right,
be
yeah.
under the,
Yeah,
like, we won't be invited to a walkthrough. It's gonna be,
right,
it's gonna be
That's
the
what-
They-
town,
They will be.
right.
yeah, and I would just avoid to even bringing up the possibility of demolishing the building. That's not why we were here, we were
No.
here to
No,
present
we
how
were
we
here
can
to
bring it
Save.
back.
This
So,
is how you bring
yeah.
it back.
Yeah, and if that even comes up, I think I'd snap a little bit over it, cause that was not what we were
Kathy
charged to
can't
do.
that.
I'd give a little, because, yeah, this is important, it really is.
Sherry and Kathy both snapped at the same time.
But, yeah,
So, I don't know, since we've been meeting so much, if it makes sense, even, you guys can all watch it on the town council, we'll know where it is. Can we push the meeting off till the first week of December, after Thanksgiving?
Our next meeting, you mean?
Yeah. Cause at that point, our hands are tied, it's been approved.
But nothing's contracted yet.
Yeah,
and-
right,
Yeah.
they, will, the town will keep us informed on contracting, and that meeting, ooh, wait a second, what's the date? She
The
I
said,
won't be
fifth.
available
okay,
then.
so we're gonna,
The week after I'd be available, but I'm not available that
okay,
week.
wait a second, so she said December 5th, and we had till the 19th.
Yeah.
So if we do the 5th, can we get, we would be in front of the council on either the 8th or the 9th or the 16th to present why we're asking for the trust to be established
As a warrant article.
as a warrant article.
What are the December?
Or
meetings?
as part of a town, well, it would be a warrant article, a town council approved and put on
Right.
the ballot warrant article. And if they deny us, we do still have the ability to do a citizen's petition. I have a tendency to think that they're going to probably come up with a way to work with us for a warrant article and using some of the undesignated fund balance to offset because of what we're asking for, grants, you know.
Right.
It's not like
Even
Sandy Lagu's gonna kill me, but we're not gonna be like trailways begging.
You know, even if they give us 100,000, you know, if they wanna
Right.
cut back and give us 100,000.
Across the hall.
You.
Just to get this thing going.
Yeah, that would still.
Turn on the lights.
And actually, it would give us the answers we all really need.
Yeah,
It would give us the ability to get the answers that everybody needs to hear.
Right.
So when do we meet, the 5th?
I think, does that work with everybody?
I won't be available, we'll be away, but that's.
Okay, so you're away on the
Yeah,
5th.
yeah, that-
Okay, so that means the town council meeting's not that week.
Oh,
The town
Well-
council meetings don't seem to be on the calendar right now.
If you guys are away, John wouldn't be at the council meeting, but I don't know if
I
they'd
know.
still. I bet you, then that means the council meeting's the 9th. So we'd be okay if we met the 5th.
I mean, there's nothing on the calendar right now, unfortunately.
that's kind of odd.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I looked
I
at
say
this.
let's go with the 5th. My guess is they're not gonna be meeting until the 9th.
What are we going to have to do on the 5th?
What we are going to have to do on the 5th is come out with a plan to justify $150,000 warrant article.
We won't have anything back from ARCO yet by that point. I mean,
Right,
they
we
won't
will
even
have
the
said that
contract
it
to
was
get them.
approved, we're getting this, we give a very small brief overview of what ARCO has done, and we thank the council for approving that. But then we'd have to come up with why we need the $150,000.
And you're gonna tease that on Monday, that we're going to be coming to you with.
Right.
Yeah.
Initially, to just pay for the plan that will be for the Part B in
Okay,
here.
that's one of them, what, you know, so that's what I'm saying. We have
Yeah.
to come up with,
And after that plan
The
B,
plan.
then you will start
We have-
doing,
yeah, we
start
have-
the implementation or whatever that is.
we have to start with Plan A. And this is the first thing we're gonna do, this is the second thing we're gonna do.
we would say, we want it for grants. We want, you know, so that's what you guys all need to think about is what we would justify asking for $150,000 to sit in the bank.
Right.
Kathy, I'm gonna have to excuse myself.
That's
I'm,
okay.
I'm gonna scoot to it.
I know, I was trying to close for 7.
And, no, you did very well.
Well, we haven't closed yet. John, did you get the minutes up?
Good to see you.
I did,
Good to see
you.
I
But they're not
sent them to
posted yet.
Kristen Sunday morning.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we'll wait till well,
I
no,
have,
we're gonna
uh,
have to approve them because we're so far out.
I have a copy.
David and I
of
just
them.
read them.
Yeah, we just read the minutes, I agree.
Okay, so
I
can
wasn't
I,
here, so
Yeah.
can I vote?
no, you
on it?
need to abstain. 1,
You're
2,
so
3,
good
4.
about
I still
reading
have a
everything.
quorum,
That's
and
good.
Larry wasn't here, so that's fine. So can somebody make a motion
I'll
to
make a
accept it?
motion to accept the minutes.
Okay,
You can't make a
Second it.
motion.
you can't make a motion.
All right, I'll make that
Every
motion.
time,
Dave,
Frank.
hey, Dave made the motion,
I'll second
Frank
it.
seconded, all those in favor, aye.
Yes, you can.
Aye. 2 abstain, Sherry and, Doug.
You still had enough for your
Dan,
quorum?
I'm like, yes, I still have enough for the quorum,
All
so
right.
we're good.
Wait a
So,
minute,
do
wait a
we,
minute. David made the motion. Who
motion
was-
and Frank
I
seconded.
Seconded.
Okay, thank you.
Perfect.
And then, do I have a motion to,
Yeah.
okay,
Given our direction for the 5th, since that's our next meeting, and we've accomplished everything else, make a motion to adjourn.
Oh,
I'll second that.
put some dinner in the oven. Sounds good.
Is that appropriate at this point?
Yes, yeah,
Absolutely.
I think so, I think, I
You've
think
already
we've
given
gone
a
as
direct-
far as we can go.
Appropriate and welcomed.
You've
Yeah.
done a fantastic job.
Okay,
Fantastic
so we're done,
job.
okay.
Voting. That
Is
was-
it